Hey guys, I'm going to be discussing a few different books mentioned in the discussion. Um, the first one I'm going to be talking about is Judy Blume's Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing, um, which is a humorous book. I enjoyed reading it, and it was something I read when I was younger as well. Um, I think a lot of its humor was um, due to like Fudge and his silly things that he would say, which I think would relate more towards like 5 to 6 year olds, because like the language and just how he would repeat things. I could imagine myself like laughing at stuff like that when I was younger. And then maybe 10 and 12 year olds, like just the fact alone that Peter was like, can you just like grow up? Can you like he was saying this to Fudge, and like, can you just be a regular human? Sit down in the movie theater, like, it's just, and I can even laugh at it now because I'm kind of young at heart, but um, yeah, he did, yeah, I that's also just humor that like anyone could laugh at too, um, and also I feel like anything that Fudge does is pretty funny, but like I think that relates more towards the younger audience for sure. Um, Let me see. I think one thing that this book does really well is engage the reader. Like I think Peter and how he goes about his day and how Bloom sets out like what he does throughout his day is very relatable, and I think being having not only like empathy but being able to relate to a character is what draws um, a reader in for sure, um, and being able to understand like their thoughts and feelings. And um, Judy, not Judy Blume, Peter was a very just normal kid in New York at the time, and he was um, he was a normal kid, and normal kids usually read these kind of books. So he was able to relate to, or the readers were able. He, how do I say this? Um, it was easy. It was very easy to relate to Peter, um, and like I know one thing is like one example of this is when Peter's mom was telling him to stop calling his brother Fang because he like two front teeth right here, on where fangs go, and he and Peter thought, at least I can call him Fang in my head because she can't control my mind, and I just thought that was super funny and super relatable, and that definitely helps the reader be more engaged. Um, there wasn't many when it comes to the generation of reading this book now to back then when it came out in the 70s was there was like a record player that was talked about at Fudge's party. There was also maybe like I don't know, like there wasn't much. There was like a camera, which everyone just uses their phone, or you had. I remember Peter's mom had to look up something in the magazine for information, and we could just look it up. So there wasn't too many different like differences in that generation or shown in the book. So that helps with um, the reader to be engaged in being able to relate in that time for sure. Because I mean, any kid can have problems with their siblings and problems with their parents at any time in throughout life or any generation. So a couple Mo Willems books I read were Piggy and Gerald books. They're definitely some of my favorite books. I have also read the Pigeons book as well, like way back when. My mom took this class and she was showing me all these books. This is probably her favorite week. But yeah, definitely loved Mo Willems books. I got to read We Are in a Book, which is my favorite one, and then I Am Invited to a Party. I love how Mo Willems just includes the reader in We Are in a Book, and like how excited Piggy and Gerald are when they're finding out they're being read by a reader, and it was it each page you want to turn because there's so little text. It's very simple, so you're like, wait, what's gonna happen next? And that's with all Mo Willems books, honestly. And I think um, after watching that video, it shows how much thought and time Mo Willems puts into each character and how they're like he sees them as like real people. And I guess when you spend so much time on a character, you can think that for sure. But it definitely expresses that through his book. For I Am Invited to a Party, it talks about how Gerald is very knowledgeable about parties. It is like, okay, if it's a fancy party, we have to dress fancy, and Piggy is just getting like the approval. Like, is this like, am I wearing? Is this okay what I'm wearing? And then same thing goes like with other different outfits like swimsuits and there's another one I can't remember, but and they ended up looking ridiculous at a party with fancy clothes and swimsuit gear, and Gerald is very knowledgeable about parties. So I think something, what was it? Throughout studying the how do I say this? Throughout studying like this class, or just being in this class and what I've learned, I think Mo Willems does a wonderful job of just like I said earlier, like wanting like it's a page turner each time. Like there is a great like sentence starter. You're like, and you want to keep reading. That's super important in any kind of book. The illustrations on it are so simple, but they're so intriguing and very well done. And there isn't really like much I can say about it. He knows his audience very well, and I think it intrigues adults even too. Yeah, I really enjoyed this week's reading, and I hope you guys did too.